Howdy, howdy, Jordan Chariton live Status Coup. It is Thursday, December the 18th in the fascist states of America. I am joined by the intrepid journalist, now author, fresh off the presses, her new book. What's the title again?
Bernie, Boom, and Bust, 50 Things I Learned in Politics. It really is as stupid as you think.
So you are writing essentially about Bernie Woodstock all the way to Bernie funeral. Not real funeral, he's still alive, but kind of.
And then where we go from here, like how we can take the lessons learned forward. So
yes, and the first chapter you're doing chapter by chapter, correct?
Yeah, I'm doing a serial release where I do chapter by chapter. The first chapter is out. The next chapter will be out on Sunday because I do have an event on Saturday. Sunday is my birthday, but I'm going to be releasing the second chapter on Saturday. And once a week, a chapter will be coming out until the full book is released. So I'm very excited.
You know, Zaina, all I want for Christmas or Hanukkah, in my instance, is to take a bath. I am spoiled to have somewhat clean water. I have 3 books that I've been meaning to read, but have no time because I have a 7-month-old who doesn't sleep, a 3-year-old who doesn't listen, and I'm going to put your serial chapter at the top of the list when I do get to take that bath.
Oh, thanks, Jordan.
I sound like a boomer now. No offense to our boomer.
Well, I just finished your book probably 2 months ago, but I got like halfway through it, and then I like have basically read it, and I actually sat down and I reread it, and it's wonderful and fabulous. I loved what I had read before, but I finally had the time to sit down and actually go through it chapter by chapter and give it the kind of attention I wanted to. And it's
sorry to go away from your wonderful face, but shameless plug. We the Poisoned behind me, good stocking stuffer. Actually, I wouldn't say good because it's pretty depressing, infuriating. But if you wanted to know about the fascism before Trump, that is the story that I published last year, exposing the Flint water crisis cover-up and the poisoning of 100,000 Americans that is sadly still going on. And don't think we forgot about Flint. We're working on something about that in the background. So TBD. All right, Zaina, where do you start? We are on the eve of the Epstein files, whatever that means. I'm not really holding my breath that we're going to get anything on Donald Trump's potential involvement with a global child sex trafficking ring or anything that shows his decades of financial crimes. I think this is going to be heavily redacted. I think we're going to get a lot of, well, things are redacted because there's still ongoing investigations. Maybe there will be some sacrificial lambs that are out there that, big names that are exposed. But I'm not holding my breath on the Trump end. Obviously, we will cover that as it comes. But got to start. We are still on the ground in Minneapolis. So definitely, if you haven't seen our videos, John Farina and JT have been doing God's work in minus sub-zero weather. To the point that John had to go to the ER because his finger was black. I was kind of worried for a hot minute that he was going to lose a finger. Not joking. Fortunately, that did not happen. He's still on the ground in Minneapolis. JT is actually headed to Broadview, Illinois, right near Chicago, to go live tonight because there is actually, believe it or not, Kristi Noem and the Department of Homeland Security, Zaina, are trying to expand the ICE prison outside of Chicago. So there's a big hearing about that. We have been on the ground live. We were there over 2 months at the Broadview Detention Center, about 13 miles outside of Chicago. Now they're trying to buy more property to expand their prisons near Chicago. So JT is going to be live from a zoning hearing tonight. Expect a lot of protesters. That's going to be, Colin, check me if I'm wrong, but I believe 7:30 Eastern time, 6:30 Central. So definitely put in your calendar. JT will be live from that. Until then, we're definitely going to cover the latest actions and terror with ICE because there was a small victory. A judge has ruled that Congress does not need the permission to do its law lawful oversight. So Congress now should be able to go into any ICE prison across the country. Should be is the key word. Whether they will be allowed to be is a different story. But a judge has ruled that it was illegal, essentially, for Trump's DHS to block or require permission from Congress people, senators, local officials to go in and inspect ICE facilities. So that's a victory. On the bad side, you now have Trump openly saying he wants to denaturalize hundreds of U.S. citizens a month. And we have disturbing videos showing you they are accelerating their rounding up and attempted deportations of U.S. citizens. Remember, you and I said, do you really think this is going to stop at brown people? You really think this is going to just stop at undocumented immigrants? No. And we are seeing an alarming acceleration of detainments of U.S. citizens. So we'll get to that. Also, Zaina, apparently the Democratic Party, after interviewing hundreds of people, doing a deep dive study on why they lost for the second out of 3 times to an orange orangutan, now they are burying their 2024 autopsy. They are not going to release their 2024 post-mortem of why Kamala Harris lost. So we'll get to that. But I want to start. I'm not going to bore the audience or myself with showing any of Trump's speech from last night. I don't really think it's necessary. It was a rambling it was a mix of him sounding like he was a little bit on speed, slash sounding like he was about to fall asleep. It was very weird if you watched it.
It was a hot mess is what it was. It was a hot mess with a bunch of lies, like just lie after lie after lie after lie. That's
basically, it was a little bit of a classier version of like a Trump rally, blaming Biden. You know, all presidents do that. They blame their predecessor, but blaming Biden for the fact that the economy is in the shitter, that we are literally now, I mean, the economy was always bad, even when the media was pushing, booming economy, the economy is recovering. It's always been bad for actually working people because the unemployment rate, GDP, the stock market is not the actual barometer of the health of working people or what's left of the middle class. We've always said that. But now it's like really falling off a cliff. Trump tried to put major lipstick on a pig. I'll just show you. This is the video from CNN, their fact checker. God bless his heart. I don't know how you fact check this number of lies in 20 minutes, but he gives you a couple bullets on the falsehoods in that speech.
Daniel, obviously we heard a lot from the president squeezed into those 15 minutes that were allotted to him. The White House makes that request to the networks. What did you hear in the president's remarks?
Caitlin, that was a fact check it, half asleep kind of presidential speech. So many of these claims have been debunked so many times. For example, the president said inflation is stopped. As Harry pointed out, it's not stopped. It's 3%. In fact, September, that 3% rate was the 5th consecutive month inflation had increased. The president also said that he inherited the worst inflation. He said some might say in the history of the country. Again, he inherited 3% inflation in January. Even the 9.1% peak of the Biden era in June 2022 was about a 40-year high, not a 48-year high, nowhere close to the all-time high of more than 23%. He spoke of cutting prescription drug prices by 400 to 600%. Those figures are mathematically impossible. If you cut it by more than 100%, people would get paid to get their medications, which of course is not happening. He said the price of eggs has fallen, which is true, but then he said everything else is falling rapidly. Everything else is not falling rapidly. In fact, even on groceries in particular, far more products have increased in price this term than have decreased. He said again, he secured $18 trillion in investment this year. That number is total fiction. Even the White House website uses a figure of $9.6 trillion. And my detailed review found that that figure is a wild exaggeration, accounting vague promises, vague, not even promises, and so on. He spoke of some states hitting $1.99 for gas. The lowest state average today is closer to $2.40. About 100 stations out of about 150,000 stations are below $2, according to the firm Gas Buddy. He also talked about immigration, made false claims there, saying that an army of 25 million people invaded the country under President Biden. Leaving aside this army rhetoric, the number was not even close to 25 million. It was under 11 million, and that counts millions of people who were rapidly expelled from the country. Crime was nowhere close to record high under President Biden. He has not settled, President Trump has not settled 8 wars. That list includes various wars, various situations that were not even wars, and some conflicts that have not actually been resolved. I could go on. I don't have time. So visit CNN.com, and we'll have a full list later.
It's basically a lot of what I wrote down. So
also, to kind of satisfy his Fox News base, those 75-year-old white men on dialysis, he said he was going to give a $1,776 dividend. What did he call it? The freedom dividend? I forget. To veterans for 1776, because next year is the 250th anniversary of America. It sounds nice, even though in this fucking economy, what's that going to get you? A couple rolls
there's
of toilet
something
paper?
dystopian about creating not even a random number, but like a symbolic number, and then limiting the amount of money that you give for that number. There's something dystopian about that.
You couldn't even round it to 2,000, right? But
I know, right?
But what, first of all, I would note, didn't hear any of the media pinheads asking how you're going to pay for it. We're only going to ask how you're going to pay for it if it's for universal health care, public college, saving the planet, programs for the, for the poor, for the starving, single moms. That we need to cross every last X and O. Veterans, who I think give them as much as possible. We don't ask how we're going to pay for that. But I said, well, this sounds too good to be true. Is Trump really just going to give almost $2,000 per veteran? Can't say I'm a big fan, but David Frum tweeted this out, actually referencing somebody else. President Trump's 1776 checks for 1.4 million troops announced Wednesday comes from congressionally allocated reconciliation funds intended to subsidize housing allowance for service members. So basically, he's redirecting money meant for troop housing and giving it to all veterans. So he's taking money for troops who need housing to pay for this. By the way, they just passed the $900 billion defense budget. It's actually $1 trillion if you add in the CIA, secret black ops, God knows what other things that are off the books. It's probably well over $1 trillion, honestly. But this is not actually just they're not creating money for this. They're taking it from other veterans, basically.
They're taking from the most needy right now during a housing crisis and then distributing it.
Correct.
That's terrible.
So I wanted to get into the reality here of the economy, not the lipstick on a pig that Trump put out there. Let's start. Well, first, let's show you, because this is going around on Twitter or X, whatever. As more of a distraction, Trump is creating it. It sounds like something really dystopian, but he announced he's creating another spirited event. First we were going to have UFC on the White House lawn. Now he's creating a 4-day athletic competition in celebration of the 250th anniversary. Let's play that clip.
In the fall, we will host the first ever Patriot Games, an unprecedented 4-day athletic event featuring the greatest high school athletes, one young man and one young woman from each state and territory. But I promise there will.
Patriot Games now, Hunger Games later.
Well, that's what was going around. Everybody was like, Trump is literally announcing the Hunger Games as 20 million people are about to lose their health care and Medicaid's been gutted and
AI is erasing our jobs at a rapid pace.
Right. So let's show you Jim Cramer on CNBC. He had a brilliant idea for all the unemployed, because unemployment's really going through the roof right now. I don't even believe the number. I think it's much higher than they're saying, because they're counting people that are employed. They're counting people as employed who don't have living wage work multiple jobs. To me, that's not full employment, in my opinion. But let's show you what Jim Cramer on CNBC, who's infamously been wrong about every single thing known to man, what is his prescription for people who can't find work?
Any idea what he's talking about when he says aggressive housing reform plans? Is it Fannie and Freddie, perhaps, which we know are going to, at least there is the plan to return them to private hands, at least a small portion, but it could still be a very large
I think that is.
IPO.
That is, but he doesn't need to do that. The price of housing is coming down rather radically because we are, frankly, no one can afford it, so it's coming down. It's going his way. I'm surprised he didn't know it's going his way. The stuff that's not going his way are natural gas, and that's a piping issue, and steak. And steak is in front of you. When you're at the supermarket,
and the number of unemployed Americans is up 1 million from the beginning of the year.
4.6. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But again, that's where the jobs are. I had a Texas banker on the other day, and you can get all the jobs you want in Texas, but people have to move. They have to move.
First of all, Jim Cramer, net worth $150 million. And you might be wondering, Jordan, why do you play this cable news slop? Who cares? Their importance, their impact, their influence is diminishing. Yes and no. In terms of eyeballs, yes. But these are the people running the country. I mean, there's pretty much a revolving door between corporate media, government, nonprofits. It's all just one big club, as George Carlin said. So the messaging they put out is often enacted in policy, sadly. Do I have that wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. One of the things that struck me is he said something very telling there. If you listen, they tell on themselves. He's basically like, housing prices are going down for the upper 30% because it's become unaffordable for everyone who's poor and for what used to be the middle class. He's like, prices are coming down for us. It's great. It's great for those of us who have money. And then he also says people need to move. Moving costs money. Moving cost money. Most of these jobs, and what he's talking about in Texas, he's talking about AI data centers. The amount of people that they're hiring is hardly any, and then it's polluting our. I just read a study that came out of Germany that who Adam McKay posted on Substack that I saw, and they have now given a warning. A German scientist who put out an annual report have now given a warning that we're looking at 3 degrees Celsius increase by 2050. It was supposed to be 2 degrees Celsius. And now it's up to 3 degrees Celsius. And these data centers are just throwing up smoke and throwing up, environmental toxins into the air. And those are the jobs he's telling us to go get. Those are the jobs, and they're only hiring a handful of people to begin with, Jordan.
It's the same thing as pipelines. It's all temporary construction jobs and then negligible permanent jobs once construction's done. And I think this is actually going to be equal, if not worse than fracking, because ultimately there's going to be a whole lot more data centers than there were frack gas pipelines. I mean, they're blowing up everywhere, all over the country. And they pollute in so many different ways. Water, air, soil. They're already, so a lot of them are going, believe it or not, in areas that are Superfunds. So you already have legacy pollution and contamination in Superfund areas, and now you're plopping mega AI factories that are poisoning the communities. This is happening in Memphis with Elon Musk, supercharged, X-Grok, whatever it's called, data center. Amazon, I actually plan on doing a video just on all the details. Amazon, their data center has been linked to all rare forms of cancer in one area. And they want to do more of this. Why? So that we could create more videos of Sam Altman as a fireman with six-pack abs. Did you see that? Sam Altman of OpenAI posting himself as a fireman with six-pack.
We're living out their incel wet dreams. Is what we're their dystopian dreams of like, oh look, you get to make holiday calendars of yourselves while we poison your communities and steal your jobs. It's the ultimate bread and circuses.
The only good thing I would say, I do think this is going to usher in the revolution quicker, because you start. Not wrong. I mean, hopefully. We're not talking like laying off, tens of thousands. You're talking about laying off millions of people. They've already started with government jobs, who, the right wing claims are not real jobs. Okay. That's part of why unemployment has gone up. And that's part of why our government is a fucking skeleton. And it's to undo the damage Trump has done. It's going to take probably a decade, if not more. But I mean, you're going to see millions of people losing their jobs, or at least losing full-time employment. It's not all or nothing. You're going to see companies bumping people from full-time 40 hours with benefits. Oh, we have AI now, so you could work 3 days a week, but we're going to cut your salary in half and give you a stipend for healthcare or something. That's what's coming, folks. And our government doesn't care because their healthcare does not change. Their salaries did not change. Their ability to commit legal insider trading does not change. None of that's going to change. It's really bad news what's going on. I also want to show you, Fox News of all places is allowing the truth to surface. This is their liberal, token liberal. She made a good point. Let's play that.
But people are sick of waiting in terms of the jobs since Liberation Day, which is when most people look at as when things kind of start taking a turn for the worse. We've only added 17,000 jobs on a monthly basis. There are over 700,000 Americans who are unemployed today versus this time last year. That's a huge number. Unemployment for young Americans is over 10%. If you took out healthcare sector hiring, would be negative completely. So.
Yeah, she's right.
And let me tell you more about that healthcare. This is the tweet from Heather Longcown. The U.S. would have lost jobs in the past 6 months if it weren't for healthcare. This has become the most important chart. Quote, hiring by industry for the past 6 months, all the industries are doing layoffs other than healthcare and maybe negligible growth in retail, trade, construction, but losing in mining, losing a lot in manufacturing, transportation and warehousing, loss, business services, losing, government, major losses because of Elon Musk and that insanity. So essentially, because of healthcare has been commoditized, made a commodity in our fucked up country, which I don't think it should be. You have this explosion of jobs. You'd have less jobs in healthcare, frankly, if you had a universal healthcare system, because a lot of the administrative, bureaucratic waste would be gone. That doesn't mean you
because of boomers aging up now and needing more care. That's part of why we have this spike. They're not even, a lot of them aren't even getting proper care. If you want to know the truth, it's not handling it properly. So.
But what I don't understand, and I don't know necessarily if you would have the answer either, I keep seeing these people under our ICE videos, and we're going to get to ICE in a little bit. By the way, if you came to this late, we're still on the ground in Minneapolis, freezing our little tushies off. I shouldn't say because I'm not there. John Farina is there. His finger is still injured. He had a black finger from being out reporting live, covering a standoff in 2-degree weather, minus with the windshield, because ICE thought it was very, very important to try and freeze to death construction workers who were on a roof near Minneapolis. So that video is up. But I keep seeing these people saying, I voted for this. You voted for what? To be jobless? To enrich Trump, whose net worth is up $3 billion since he's come back in the White House off his crypto scam? For Don Jr. to get a $600 million loan from the Pentagon that I don't think he's going to pay back? For Steve Witkoff, his Middle East envoy, which is a joke? For him and his son to make millions off of crypto? The corruption stories are coming out fast and furious. For Jared Kushner to be at the table with Vladimir Putin negotiating and then somehow be involved, at least initially, his hedge fund in buying Warner Brothers. We could keep going. What did you vote for? Healthcare costs skyrocketing, housing unaffordable, utilities, electric bills, in large part because of these data centers that everyone is paying for. It's not Google or Amazon or Elon Musk paying for the increase in utilities and electric. It's going to working people. Our bills are going up. Where I live, there's a data center, I think like a half hour away. I just looked. My electric bill was up $60 last
Yeah.
month. Not because of anything. I'm not using more. It's just crazy. I don't know what
because
people...
they'll pull collectively and they will charge you more. They'll raise their rates. Absolutely.
And by the way, what I'm saying is not, I mean, this isn't saying like, yeah, Democrats are offering so much better. I mean, I think on the surface, it's pretty obvious Trump is a unique threat. But you could acknowledge, okay, I was wrong about Trump. He's a con artist. That doesn't mean you have to do pom-poms for the Democratic Party, who literally is burying their autopsy for the 2024 election, which we'll get to. Their rallying cries, save the subsidies that go to insurance companies who we are bought and paid for by. They're not rallying for Medicare for all, which now would be the moment to, when everyone's focus is on healthcare. You could do two things at once. You worked in politics. You could say, all right, we got to put the fire out, save the subsidies, and then let's trash this horrible system and purity test anyone running in 2026 midterms. If you're not for Medicare for all, we're primarying you. 2028, same things. The jig is up. I don't want to hear how you're going to pay for it. We're all paying for this albatross and this fraudulent system. So I just don't know what I guess they're just saying we paid for this sick dystopian. I mean, they're getting shits and giggles off of terrorizing. I mean, for God's sakes, we just showed you our video's up. They dragged a pregnant woman on the ground in Minneapolis as ICE agents were being yelled at. She's pregnant. They had one of them had their knee on her with her belly down. I'm not an OGBNY, but I've had two kids. I'm pretty sure that could endanger the baby. You're dragging a pregnant woman and putting your knee down on her with her stomach to the ground. We'll get to that. But I just, I'm at
Everyone's saying we voted for this. You're angry at the wrong people. Where's the jobs? Where's the jobs? They're filling up Alligator Alcatraz. They're filling up all these, they're pulling people off of construction sites. They're stalking people in a Home Depots and Walmarts. Where's the jobs then? We're down 1.8 million jobs. It didn't solve our problems. Where's the price decreases? Where's the federal subsidies that they said that if migrants aren't, taking up the federal subsidies, then that'll come to us? Where are they? Where's our child care? Where's our health care?
It's
not happening.
No.
You're angry at the wrong people. You should be at Sam Altman's door instead of celebrating a pregnant migrant woman being drugged down the street.
Well, don't worry. Barry Weiss, the new president of CBS News, which is just hysterical. She just announced she's going to be, after her, whatever it was, pillow party with Erica Kirk. She did a Saturday night primetime special with Charlie Kirk's widow. She's now going to do a town hall with Sam Altman. Who has said we're going to need a new social contract to account for AI, meaning suck it up, boys and girls. If you have to be on a breadline for a little bit, that's okay. This is a necessary. It's the same thing, by the way. They who was it that did the trains? Was the train baron? Was that Rockefeller? No.
Yeah. He was one of the train barons. Yes.
Yeah. Same thing they said back then. If the short-term pain, so be it. All right. Also, I want to show
the new Gilded Age. We'll hear a lot of these pundits telling us that we're getting close. It's like the one guy who went down the list, he said wealth disparity and he was comparing numbers, but that's one area that he was inaccurate just a few minutes ago. We are at probably one of the greatest points of wealth disparity in U.S. history. We are in a new Gilded Age. This might as well be 1923. We are in a new depression. We are, and we all feel it. You're not crazy, and you're not crazy for feeling it, because that's where we are.
Let's play. This is CNN's data nerd on Trump's tanking poll numbers.
Yeah, Donald Trump was elected to solve the economic crisis, to solve the pricing crisis. But at this particular point, these numbers are going in the complete wrong direction. On the economy, the country is going in the wrong track, the right track. You go back to January, these numbers were pretty split, right? 43% said wrong track, 36% said right track, right when Donald Trump came in office. But look at that. That wrong track number has skyrocketed up to 56%. My goodness gracious, who say that the country, at least when it comes to the economy, is on the wrong track. And that right track number, Kate Baldwin, has fallen to 29%. So what was a single-digit spread has ballooned up to a 27-point spread in the negative direction. The bottom line is this. Donald Trump is trying to spin a narrative, and the American people aren't buying the spin that is coming out of the White House.
Now, in these new numbers, what is driving the pessimism?
Yeah, what is driving the pessimism? I mean, we've done a bunch of segments on this, and we're going to continue to do segments on this when polling, like what came out yesterday from NBC News, continues to show it. Top concern for you, economic concern for you and your family. Look at this. Number one, we've said it over and over again. 44%. 44% say inflation. I looked at the second one on it. Look at that. It's all the way back at 9%, taxes and take-home pay. It's inflation overwhelmingly driving this economic pessimism. And I will tell you this, until the American people think that inflation is under control, they will continue to have pessimistic feelings about the economy because inflation is numero uno by a wide, wide margin in driving this economic pessimism.
Setting aside the president on this, how does this look party versus party?
Yeah, okay. So I think this is the key thing, right? Because oftentimes we'll say, hey, look, we're blaming the president, but we've seen some polling in which Republicans still lead Democrats. But take a
So, couple points. Number one, yes, quite a bit of the inflation is due to Trump's tariffs, but let's be perfectly clear here. There's just baked in price gouging that's been going on since the beginning of COVID that just has never gone away. I mean, literally, who was it? More Perfect Union, I believe. They just did a series showing that there's basically something called surveillance pricing brought to you by AI apps, which if Zaina and I walk into the same supermarket, Zaina, she's on her phone looking at the prices, versus I'm on my phone looking at the prices. If you're looking in the store, excuse me, I said that wrong. If you're outside the supermarket, the prices on your phone might be X, and then you go in and it's less. Yeah. And you're being charged more based on, because they're tracking your habits, other purchases. It's going all the way down to if a loved one died in your family recently, the airlines know that, and a flight will be more expensive for you because they know, you have to go to the funeral. That's from terrible. AI surveillance and tracking. It's called surveillance pricing. Lena Khan, before Trump got rid of her, was trying to do something about this at the Federal Trade Commission under Biden, and obviously Biden got rid of her. But I mean, price gouging, it's all around. You have shrinkflation.
Mm-hmm. We get less, we pay more. You have planned obsolescence. You have now Toyota, and there's a few other car agencies that are looking at pumping ads in through the little screens in your vehicles, so that every time you stop at a red light, an automatic ad plays for you, and charge you extra for that little perk that you get. The free ads that you get in your car that you don't want. So can I say something though, Jordan?
Sure.
They're framing the way they talk about this pissed me off. You know why? They're like, what is this economic pessimism? What's driving these thoughts? Newsflash, I know you're sitting in they're probably sitting in a $1.5 million house while the rest of us are struggling. They have money to pay for their childcare and their bills with their, $2.5 million salaries a year or whatever. We're not pessimistic. It's not in our heads. It's not some feeling or thought we have. It's not an emotion. It's that we're living it every day. We're living the inflation, and politicians are not going to be able to talk their way out of this shit anymore because it's not in our heads. And just the way that they frame it, because they're wealthy and out of touch and not living the experience. What do you think's driving these people thinking that it's hard out there? Where are they getting this pessimism from? Where's the pessimism? Because we can't afford to keep roofs over our head. We can't afford to eat. We're having to work 4 or 5 jobs, literally. You know, everyone I know is doing like some kind of delivery and then doing some kind of data entry job, or doing like, we're doing it's a patchwork economy where we're trying to pile things together to make enough money just to scrape together and make ends meet, and still having to do mutual aid asks. What do you mean? What do you mean economic pessimism?
Just suck it up and move to Texas. Come on. As the great Jim Cramer would say. Yeah, I mean, and I got to tell you, this is going to go one of 2 ways. Because I would be very careful if I'm the Democratic Party. If you think that you're just going to ride fascism, vote for us back to the White House. I mean, the polls do not show. I think there was a poll with AOC basically tied with JD Vance. I don't even know if she's running, but the country is deeply polarized. And unless you're going to have a real economic populist run, which I doubt in the Democratic Party, and if it's Gavin Newsom or Pete Buttigieg or one of these knockoff Joe Biden, Hillary Clintons, you know, who's younger with better hair, I don't think that's going to pull back Gen Z, the millennial generation. I think there's a lot of boomers who are waking up, who will vote blue no matter who. I've seen them at the No Kings rallies. I've seen them at the Tesla protests. They were screaming about Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. I don't know if they're necessarily going to settle for Gavin Newsom or Kamala 2.0 or 3.0, because that would be a third run. So the Democratic Party better start offering actual bold policies, not just, well, get rid of the fascists, put us back in. This whole back to normal 2.0, you know, Biden ran back to normal. And let's be clear, Biden didn't win in 2020 by that much. If not for COVID, I think he would have lost pretty resoundingly, actually.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll get to those elections another time. But I want to show one last thing. This is over 57% of U.S. households earn under $100,000 per year. There is nowhere in the U.S. where the average family could live comfortably for under $178,000 per year. Nowhere in the U.S., unless you're living off the land, which is becoming more popular, and tiny houses or RVs, which a lot more people are moving into RVs. You can't expect people to start families when the system is designed to make them struggle. I mean, that's a resounding stat that over 57% of households, not just that they earn under 100,000, but there's virtually nowhere in the U.S. where you could live comfortable for like under $200,000 at this inflation level and these prices.
We're getting paid just a little above what we were getting paid, Jordan, in 2000. Literally. Yep. I mean, I remember a lot of the jobs in restaurants and things like that were paying $40,000, $50,000 a year back then. Like chef jobs, you know, restaurant management, retail. And now some of those jobs are paying less, $20,000, $30,000 a year. No joke. We've gone backwards.
On that uplifting note, let's bring you to the next house on fire. We have been on the ground all over this country for the last, starting in May, June. We've been on the ground in LA covering the ICE terror campaign there. Our great reporter, Tina Desiree Berg, got shot, jousted with police. We were on the ground in New York City many times from the federal immigration courthouse, where they were throwing people to the ground, including politicians. We've been on the ground in D.C. as the National Guard took over there and invaded, and were pretty much cleaning the streets and twiddling their thumbs while terrorizing mostly black and brown people, doing military checkpoints, basically, for cars. We were on the ground for over 2 months. For over 2 months in Chicago. We were down at Alligator Alcatraz as they tortured people in extremely, extremely punishing heat, and are still, by the way, Alligator Alcatraz still open. We were in Charlotte, North Carolina, and now we're on the ground in Minneapolis, where we are still on the ground. John has been roaming around all day today and for several days showing you what's happening. And I got to say, I know it's, towards the end of the year, you know how it is and everything, Zaina. Politics, nonprofits, media, it kind of slows down. People check out a little bit. You gotta fork over the little money you have for holiday gifts. So totally understand for those who can't do it. But for those that can, we want to end the year on a high. We're almost at 250,000 subscribers we've gained. We just passed 248,000 subscribers just this year. So we definitely want to.
Amazing. That's amazing.
Oh, amazing. Thank you to all the new subscribers. For a small independent channel like us, I mean, it's almost half of our overall subscribers lifetime. We started this 7 years ago. So we want to end strong on subscribers. So urge your friends, subscribe if they care about humanity. It's obviously we cover other stories than ICE, but we also need to keep growing in terms of our paid membership to stay out there. It's incredibly expensive, as I always tell you, to be on the ground. That's why so few outlets are on the ground. In addition to they're fucking lazy and they don't want to roll up their sleeves and go in the trenches. So please support us.
Somebody mentioned warmed gloves for John Farina. Great idea. But those are the kinds of things that we need. We need, vests for our journalists. We need goggles. We need equipment. And then we also have to pay for the streaming service so that we can stream from the ground so that it's visible and you guys can see what's happening because, regular streaming and sometimes regular Wi-Fi ain't enough. We got to have a package for that. Then we also have to pay for the hotel rooms, the travel, the gas, the time. And then we have to pay our workers. John Farina has a black finger. He needs to be paid for his work on the ground, and amazing work. Him and JT both have been doing just yeoman's work, in my opinion, out there in the cold.
So please, if you can, support us. You could become a paying member to Status Coup for as low as $5 a month. StatusCoup.com/join. We will try to do a members call before the end of the year. I know we've been a little delayed. We were going to do it a week or two ago, but I was sick. My kids were sick. I'm still sick. But please support us. StatusCoup.com/join to support what we're about to show you. I don't know what order you have it, Colin, but just it's always amazing to me, and obviously I'm biased because it's our outlet, what we're able to capture and the amount of reporting and content we're able to do just in like 5 or 6 days. You don't see this kind of stuff on like massive outlets like CNN, MS, whatever it is now, the New York Times, Washington Post, the digital outlets, Daily Beast. You don't see this, other independent outlets for sure. You don't see this level of reporting, especially the on-the-ground stuff, maybe in a year. We're banging these videos out, and they're not like simple. I mean, these are pretty detailed reports. I made 4 or 5 a week. So I hope folks are appreciating it. But just in Minneapolis, we're seeing a real alarming acceleration, both in Minneapolis and Chicago. We have clips from both of U.S. citizens being detained, where ICE doesn't seem to care that they're U.S. citizens, of pregnant women being dragged in the streets, of guns being aimed at people who are legally following ICE tasering protesters with taser guns, which, by the way, you don't know who you're tasering. You don't know if somebody has a condition or whatever. If you tase them, is going to make it worse. Colin, let's play the first clip, whatever we have.
Nobody wants me here.
Move, goddammit! You need to move now.
You can go. There's people in front of her.
Move out of the way. Move out of the way. Move out of the way.
Move out.
Why didn't you get out of your car, pussy? With your Christmas fucking pack. I'm gonna go home and fuck your dad. Get a new job, you fucking loser! Now do it! Hey, watch where you spray that! He's a German immigrant!
Oh, come on!
Come on!
Good fight, good fight.
Everybody start throwing shit!
Yeah, we're good. You're good.
Wait! Hey! Fuck you, man!
I got you on video. Watch your face, motherfucker. Watch your face, motherfucker.
Watch your back. Do you not see what the fuck's happening? Shut up.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
Watch your back. Watch your back. Another.
I don't even know where to start with that. First of all, that's in Minneapolis, by the way, a couple days ago. They're literally just running people over. And, ICE, and by the way, the corporate media pushed this. They're blocking ICE. They're blocking ICE from driving. Some of the most historic protests in American history have been protesters blocking traffic. Civil rights movement, ring a bell? It's not like a fucking, it's not a crime punishable by running somebody over with your car if they stand in the middle of the street, peacefully assembling. By the way, it sure seems like that car is driving at least 15, 20 miles an hour. So you're
not dangerous.
You're running people over at a decent speed. Secondly,
that person was lucky that they didn't slide underneath the vehicle.
Definitely.
It was
by the way,
sheer luck that kept them from being hurt worse.
Thank you also, Emily, for heeding the call. 10 count them, gifted memberships. Thank you so much, Emily. So 10 lucky people in the chat will get Status Coup memberships. I do ask if you can, if you're going to sign up, please do it through our website. If you sign up through YouTube, we don't have access to your email. We want to email you, not to beg you for money every day, but we email folks when we're live on the ground at our Substack. So we don't have your email if you sign up on YouTube. And YouTube is YouTube. It's Google. They can nuke our channel whenever the fuck they feel like it. And if they did, and most of our people were signed up through YouTube, we'd kind of be screwed. So that's why it's a lot better if people sign up to our website, statuscoup.com/join. If you're signed up on YouTube and you're too lazy to cancel there and switch to our website, that's fine. But if you're thinking to sign up, love people who do it through our website. Okay.
Yes,
so that's number one.
More go to our journalist and to keeping the machine greased instead of going to the alphabet people. So.
Yes, because YouTube takes a healthy cut of your membership. The other thing is you notice they literally, that guy came over and pepper sprayed that woman literally for no reason. He made the point of coming across the street to just pepper spray her for no reason. The woman, the female agent, came out of the car, I guess thinking that woman threw a snowball, but it wasn't that woman who threw a snowball. So they're just there's no rhyme or reason. We just did a video, an ICE agent is pointing their gun at somebody. His hand is shaking. Half of these people, they're not vetted. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They're unhinged, and they've been given bazooka guns with a $50,000 bonus.
And they're just as childish. They're just as childish as the administration is. They're just as childish as Trump. This is juvenile, childish behavior. No, you know what? No, I'm not going to say it's juvenile because my teenage daughter behaves better than this. That's an insult to juveniles. I don't know. It's cartoonish. It's cartoonishly immature and cartoonishly they just have no professional skills whatsoever.
Agree. Absolutely. So essentially they're running people over, they're pepper spraying people at will, and the aggressors, then turn around and say, we're under attack. We need more agents to come. So that's what's happened in Chicago when protesters surround them, unarmed, peaceful. They're not doing anything, but trying to obstruct their activities, trying to obstruct their operations. ICE and Kristi Noem, they cry fucking violin. Oh, ICE federal agents are under attack. Then they attack the police, who I'm loath to defend because I'm not a big fan of the police, but they attack police in certain areas for not coming to their rescue and cracking the skulls of the protesters. And that's what's happening. That's what's happened in Chicago. That's why there was an influx of Border Patrol, because ICE was, crying that they're under attack when they were not. And now the same thing is happening in Minneapolis, where we covered the other day, that we'll show you the video in a bit. The pregnant woman who was dragged, ICE was crying there that they're under attack. And the local, I believe, Hennepin County Sheriff or Minneapolis police came but didn't help them. Well, why should you be helped when you are in fucking secret police mass thugs illegally rounding people up with no due process? By the way, U.S. citizens in many cases. Why should the police come and help you do that? I mean, I got my problems with the police separate from ICE, but it's literally the fascist blind leading the fascist blind. What's going on? Let's play the next clip we have from our Minneapolis coverage.
He's a who?
Illegal criminal alien.
A criminal alien?
Yes.
So what is the crime?
I don't think
there's criminal charges.
What is the crime?
Why would I disclose
That is not your
Why would I
business.
disclose
But
it to all?
criminal, if it's, wait, that doesn't make any sense. First of all, if he committed a crime in the state of Minnesota as an adult, that's a public offense. So you all can disclose it. So what is the crime?
So this is what we know from ICE. ICE said they have one person named Juan that they have to detain, and that person is inside Centro Mix. Don Henry has the right to say no to anyone to enter his business. So he went inside to talk to his wife, make sure his staff are in the know what's going on out here. They have not produced a warrant. They asked Don Henry if he was a citizen. They asked him to identify himself. Don Henry showed him his passport. They didn't ask me for my passport, but that's okay. It's called discrimination. So we're gonna stay here, guys. We're gonna just stay put. We gotta make sure that Don Henry needs space and time to think about what's best for him, his family, and his business. And we're gonna follow Don Henry's lead.
You live on people doing this shit.
Trying to detain one person. And they
You'll love it.
Like, doesn't it always?
Is that how the election went?
Doesn't that feel bad?
They hated us so bad they voted for this.
Has to wait for you.
Election. I think everyone here for sure. This might be a.
Yeah, so go the fuck back home.
Some of it.
Do you have a heart? You look like a nice guy. Do you have a heart? We actually love you. God loves you. So let's be together. Don't do no shooting around me. I can't breathe. Don't do no shooting around me. I love you. Let's be family. Let's treat each other good. Let's show the media that we care for one another.
All right, thank you.
So, just so you know, that was in front of a Mexican supermarket. So there's parts of Minneapolis and Chicago that are heavily Hispanic or Mexican, but the residents lined up, arms linked, to block ICE from going in. And then, as you could clearly see, and I'm pretty sure this is not the exception to the rule, I mean, one of those ICE agents might as well have MAGA stamped on his forehead. He was literally arguing with the residents, saying, "Oh, people are against this is what people voted for." No, this is not what people voted for, as all the polls show. This is not what people voted for. The people stupid enough to think Trump actually cared about crime, yeah, they voted for getting rid of actual criminals, even though, sorry to tell you, there's not a rampant crime problem with immigrants. There's a whole lot more crime being committed in America by white people, by white nationalists, by right-wingers than brown people. But he's basically reciting Fox News talking points. Like, people hate us, but they voted for this. This is what people voted for, he was saying. It's just not.
He's like, oh, is that how the election went? It was very flippant and very partisan, you know?
Yeah. But by the way, I mean, this is why, again, I'm proud to toot our own horn. You don't really see this kind of stuff elsewhere. You don't see this kind of street coverage because it takes work. I mean, just to get some of these clips, John is literally zigzagging along Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota. It's not like these interactions are scheduled and you get a press alert. Hey, show up at this time. No. John, JT, they have to build sources in the area with activists, residents. They have to build trust because a lot of media most media, I would say, cannot be trusted to actually tell the story fairly from working class people, from the oppressed perspective. So it's not easy to get this footage, even though in that case, it's not like, pepper spray and rubber bullets and, people being attacked. I think those clips are even more important because you actually see the minds, which are rotten, of the guys with the bazooka guns. And it comes from the top, obviously, but this is who they're hiring. I do not think it would not surprise me if on interviews for ICE, they're asking, who'd you vote for?
And can I add something, Jordan?
Go ahead.
I've been looking, and there are some other independent outlets that are doing this occasionally and going out and filming ICE. But mainstream media isn't out there. Corporate media isn't out there. We're not getting this footage from really anywhere. And no one has done as much coverage as Status Coup has on this.
No.
And it's so critical that we're catching. Imagine what JT and John Farina have already been able to catch on video just in the last few weeks. But imagine how much we're not seeing. That's why
a whole lot we're not seeing.
We have this documented because in front of our eyes in real time, and this isn't an exaggeration, history is being rewired with the way that AI is going. Heck, what was it? Trump yesterday released the new placards that go under the descriptions of the presidents, and he's fascistically like doing partisan hackery under the historical plaques for these presidents. It's not a big deal. It's kind of shallow compared to all the other problems we have, but it was fascistic. It shows that they're trying to rewrite history in real time. We have to be able to document this. We have to. And so look at what we're capturing here. Just imagine how much more is happening. And that's why we need your support. And it's also why it's so important that we stay on the ground.
Absolutely. Thank you. And please, again, it's up to you, folks. I mean, there's a whole lot of outlets out there. Everybody, their mother, their dog have a YouTube channel and a podcast and a Substack and a TikTok and everyone's an influencer, and it's just fucking giving me a headache. From when I started on YouTube a decade ago now, it's like a whole new world. I mean, back in 2016, there were a couple channels in leftist politics. Now, I mean, there's so many channels. I mean, I'm not saying, you obviously want as many people who want to have a voice and want to be able to, weigh in on stuff to be out there. But so much of it is it's very hard to separate the noise and the signal, and everybody has so much attention span and time. So when you're being
not
flooded,
everything is journalism. Just ask Barry Weiss.
I'd say 99% of news in the news and politics category on YouTube, podcasts is not journalism. That doesn't mean that, there's no room for commentators, analysis, debates. I mean, you want to have a healthy, open square of content and ideas, but actual living, breathing, on the ground journalism. And you're right to point out there are some independent outlets out there. Not every outlet can go across the country, finances, whatever it is. It's hard for us to be around the country financially because we don't have like the Koch brother funding us or Soros or United Healthcare. Like we've had to do this the hard way. So definitely, in Minneapolis, for example, Chicago, Andrew Mercado has been in many of the locations we've been on the ground. There's a couple other here and there independent outlets, but I am not bashful in saying there is no other outlet, mainstream or independent, consistently on the ground like us. And it takes a lot of work. It's draining, not just physically, it's draining emotionally. Trust me, it's been tough for me emotionally over these years. I haven't been on the ground as much just because I now have a 7-month-old and a 3-year-old, and I can't reasonably be on the ground as much as I would like to. I'll be back out there a little bit more in 2026. But the reality is we could only do this as much as you fund us. So please, if you value this, please support us. Colin, if you could play the clip. This happened the other day. It was down the street from Carmel Mall. If you live in Minneapolis, Carmel Mall is known as the first national, essentially Somali mall. It's got a lot of Somali vendors because Minneapolis has a ton of Somali Americans. Again, Somali Americans, they are American. I don't know how many, I've never been there, but from what I read, there's dozens and dozens of Somali vendors, and it's a big mall and very popular there, and a real kind of like meeting ground for people in the community. So of course, ICE decided to terrorize people down the street from the mall. I think they were trying to raid the mall too. But this scene, I don't know what caused it. From what I read, they were raiding or screwing with somebody in a car, and in the passenger seat was this woman who, from what I'm told, is an American citizen. And they were repeatedly told she was pregnant by people in the crowd. Let's show you what they did.
Let her go, let her go. These are U.S. citizens that are harassing, man. Yeah, around the corner. I just seen a pregnant lady get dragged through the streets for no reason, man. This is messed up, America. And this is, I don't know whose fault this is. Y'all know whose fault this is, man. That orange man sitting in the office.
She's pregnant! Right at your face. Fuck you. She's pregnant! Oh my God.
meesha waxaa ka dhacay dagaal oo isu dhaxeeya ICE-ka iyo dadka kale. He's dragging! Yes, he's dragging. He's dragging! We're all U.S. citizens.
They spray my son too. He wants to train now.
For no reason.
You know this? Yeah.
Never sprayed a little kid.
He was training now. That's not nice.
No.
He's been sick
You
right
okay?
now.
I will let the woman in the show today respond first because I cannot give birth, but you have, and I just find that horrifying.
To be drugged like that when you're pregnant would be terrifying. It would be terrifying. I mean, it's terrifying to do regardless, but I can't imagine what was going through her mind at that moment.
Well, what's striking to me about the whole thing, first of all, I don't know, who knows what these people are thinking. There's no rhyme or reason. But if you are being screamed at, she's pregnant, you would think just basic common sense, if not morality, maybe you'd let your knee off of her. She doesn't seem to be a threat to you. She's on the ground, stomach to the ground. But they kept telling her she's pregnant, and honestly, it had shades of George Floyd to me, to be honest with you, the way he was kneeling on her. So I don't know what somebody could be thinking, but the point is, I'm not praising police in this country because God knows whatever vetting has gone on is not enough. but these people don't seem trained whatsoever. I mean,
No.
they don't seem trained for basic crowd control. They don't seem trained for how you apprehend somebody, putting aside whether these apprehensions should happen or not. This guy screaming in your face, fuck you in your face. They're shooting tasers at people. Did you see that guy he shot a taser gun at? He was pretty far away and he just flops down.
They're hysterical and they clearly amateur. It's amateur hour. I remember, do you remember this, Jordan? Tina Desiree Berg was filming. This was in LA when a bunch of ICE agents showed up at a park there, a pretty popular city park. And a guy comes barreling out. He rolls on the ground and his gun is loose. So it rolls out and his gun is rolling on the ground. And then he has to like scatter to pick up his gun. But I can't tell you since then how much clownish stuff we have recorded that, you know, John Farina has caught on camera, that Tina's caught on camera, that Status Coup has reported. It's constant clownery. But it's dangerous. It's dangerous when they have weapons, when they're dragging pregnant women through the snow. Insanity.
And in the longer video, because all these clips are from longer videos, they're all up on our channel under the video tab. They're shooting pepper ball out of guns at them, chemical irritants in your face. They're straight up pepper spraying folks.
Ramming into cars to stop them. Just ramming into vehicles because the person that's in the car is brown. There's numerous times that they have rammed into a car. It was a U.S. citizen driving it, which doesn't make it okay if it's a migrant driving it, but it happens to be a U.S. citizen that they racially profiled and then rammed into the car to stop it.
It's just
one
it's
time with
madness.
2 children in the back, a mother with 2 children in the back, both of them in car seats. That's how little they were.
And the other frustrating thing is, as a journalist, it's very hard to track where they're taking these people.
Mm-hmm.
I have not been able to track where they're taking her. The majority of the rest of the media's coverage sucks. If the local media covers it, some articles didn't even mention she was pregnant, which is kind of relevant to the story, wouldn't you say? They leave out that it was down the street from the Somali mall, which they're intentionally trying to terrorize these Somali areas. And it's so rich. You know, Trump is targeting the Somali community because a handful of people in the community committed Medicare fraud or something like that, as opposed to, I don't know, the Trump administration's rampant fraud and corruption, the United States Senate and Congress rampant fraud and corruption, but the brown people committed fraud. So, you know, pull up the gates and send them to the guillotines. It's and I don't even know if that's legitimate. I'm sure that's overblown too. The fraud hysteria. Or maybe there were some isolated incidents. So
either way, you know, if we could start pinning fraud on every single white person in the country, then let's get them out of here because it's prevalent under every ethnicity in the country. There's someone who's going to do something illegal.
And by the way, just so you know, not that it's your fault, but I'm pretty sure this person that was dragged did not come to a protest. She was pulled from a car. She was a passenger in a car, and that's how the incident started. So,
yeah, she was the quote unquote migrant, you know, the quote unquote illegal migrant, which we don't even know their status, that was drugged from their vehicle.
Right. So this is not somebody pregnant who just showed up to a protest to get in ICE's face.
And regardless, that's a little victim blaming. You know,
I completely agree.
To be honest.
You shouldn't be treated that way as a protester either.
People on the side of the street that are just getting bear maced, dragged, kicked, that have nothing to do with a protest. They're just there. We've recorded that. We've caught that on camera before, Jordan. Just a random guy getting drugged down and kicked down. We caught that on video, a month ago? Just a guy who was just there.
Welcome new Status Coup member. Dylan just signed up and Blaine just signed up through the website. Thank you. And a reminder, if you came to this late, our JT Siskowski is going to be live right outside Chicago tonight at around 7:30 Eastern. So about 2 hours from now. Broadview, Illinois, which is about 13 miles outside of Chicago. That's where the big ICE prison is. I don't even like calling it detention center. It's a prison. These people are in prison. That's where the big ICE prison is. That's where they have. That's where they have been attacking protesters. The police, the state police under Governor J.B. Pritzker has been helping them do it. But there is a hearing tonight because ICE is trying to expand and buy land right next to the existing ICE prison to create an even bigger prison there. So there's a zoning hearing tonight that JT will be live from. I'm pretty damn sure there's going to be a significant opposition and protest crowd there. So we will be live. And let me remind you, is CNN going to be live there? Fuck no. MS Now? No. New York Times? Doubt it. Local news? Look, by the way, it's not covering something to simply show up for 5 minutes, get what they call B-roll, which in the business just means video, maybe interview one person and chop it down to 10 seconds for the nightly news. That's not journalism. That's just checking a box to make it look like you've done something. We are often one of the only outlets live at these places, at these important meetings, community meetings, town halls, a zoning hearing. By the way, JT lives in Wisconsin. He's driving 2 hours back and forth for this. So again, this is why it's important to cover, to support actual living, breathing, independent journalism, because you're not going to know what's going on otherwise. And it might sound cheesy, Zaina, but I do believe this, and I think you do too. The more we are able to cover, the more we're able to show. Little by little, I use my parents as an example. I sent my dad a long text message the other day with 12 bullets. Number one, Donald Trump. Both my parents are MAGA. They're good people. They're just ignorant and watch Fox News. But I started with, he literally just attacked a man who was slain to death with his wife, mocking him. Like, this is what you're supporting, Larry Chariton? And then I went down the list of other horrific things he's done. And then I added at the end, and by the way, you've seen our coverage. They're literally like rounding up immigrants and U.S. citizens and shooting at them. And he's just like, this is giving me serious pause. That's the most I'll get from this. That's the most I'll get from my father. But it's more than I got 6 months ago. So the point is,
good. That's at least some progress. But
yeah,
Jordan,
he's still a hopeless Zionist. But at least on this, we're getting somewhere. So
people are moving on this stuff. People are moving on this stuff. And there was one thing I want to take it back to JT's coverage tonight that I want to point out, and I think is important to note. These concentration camps that are holding migrants are federally funded, but they're privatized institutions ran by companies like Geo Group, Core Civic, and these companies that celebrated. They had parties when Trump got into office. We covered that here. They were celebrating the huge amount of money they were going to make. And each person that they detain per head is about $724 per day that these companies are making. So they want to expand so that they can make more money. They want to expand so that they can commodify migrants and make federal dollars off of each person that is arrested. They don't care. They don't care if that person is a citizen or not. They're going to make $724, anywhere from $600 to $800 per day, per head, per person that they hold. Now think about it. You could stay at the Hilton for $700 a night. But that is the amount of federal dollars they're doing to keep people in cots, not even have proper heating for them, not get them medical treatment, not properly feed them.
And
then hold everyone from migrants to U.S. citizens.
Can I just ask a 360-degree question, if that's the phrase? And I really ask this to MAGA, because we have a couple in the audience here and there. I'm not even I really want to know. Why are you so triggered? Why is this what you voted for? By quote unquote illegal immigrants, who, by the way, it's not a crime, it's a misdemeanor. Civil violation, actually. you don't seem to care about much more significant, impactful crime. You don't care about Wall Street banks defrauding a nation, a globe, never being held accountable, or do you? Because the Trump administration and Republicans are spending a whole lot more resources and time and energy on brown people than they ever did on Wall Street. That goes to the Democrats, too. The Democrats are in bed with Wall Street, too. You don't seem to care about the criminals poisoning the water, the air, the soil, big oil. You don't seem to care about the Sackler family poisoning hundreds of thousands of people. I know I'm a broken record and I say this again, but I have to say it because it's true. You don't care about that crime that literally through pills killed, I'm probably wrong, it's probably over 1 million people at this point through OxyContin. West Virginia,
I'm in Appalachia,
Kentucky.
Jordan. It wrecked my community on purpose. They were pouring it in here on purpose because we're impoverished. It's less federal dollars if they pour in drugs that just unalive us, kill us, that just kill us off.
I mean, big tech is literally intentionally creating algorithms to addict teenagers who are committing suicide because of social media, not to mention selling your data to the highest bidder. I could keep going to defense contractors and their crimes. You only seem to care about certain crimes. And how is this crime affecting you? Are you really stupid enough? I'm sorry, let's just call it. Do you really think it's the brown people taking your jobs? This talking point is absurd. I've been to more ghost towns than you could think of. Okay, through the deindustrialized Midwest and other parts of the country. The plants are not closed because the brown people took your jobs. The shopping centers are not boarded up because immigrants took your jobs. It's because Wall Street wrote trade deals that sold the jobs to other countries. Yep. GM, Ford, Stellantis, they're not replacing blue-collar workers and bringing in Jose in America. They're sending the jobs to China and Mexico for modern-day slave labor. Yeah. I mean, this is and now AI is replacing jobs. So it's just a myth. It's a myth. The jobs that they are taking, most Americans won't do. I mean, that's the reality.
Well, I mean, I push back on that one just a little bit because statistics show that, yeah, we would on some of the jobs, but those were gutted for all of us, not just migrants. Roofing, and the labor jobs, those kinds of jobs have been gutted for everyone. And then there's not people. When housing ownership goes way down, when development goes down, when investments on infrastructure go down, those jobs are gutted for everybody because when you have 60% of the country that are living paycheck by paycheck, when you have an entire generation of millennials that can't buy homes until they're in their mid-40s, and that's being lucky, when you have a credit system that doesn't allow you to even get a credit card unless you have perfect credit, everyone has bad credit almost now. Who is spending this money? Who's spending money to get their lawns done? Who's spending money on manual labor? Most of us aren't. So it's not that migrants are taking your jobs. It's that people have no money to spend because we don't have a middle class anymore. We don't have a small business economy. We don't have a middle class. That's all gone. It's gone. It's monopolies and it's robber barons, modern day robber barons. And that's it, guys. That's it. Yeah, sure. I know you would go out and you'd do roofing. And I'm talking to people in Appalachia right now. I know you do that. But it's not a migrant that's taking your job. It's that nobody can afford to get their damn roof fixed. Those who even have homes can't afford to get that done. And the rest of us can't even afford to buy a house.
And
that's why.
It's also, let's be clear, for those that do have jobs, it's the incessant legal greed of these corporations where the CEOs are stealing the money from their workers. I don't remember who it was, but there was just something in Italy where the workers have shares in the company. Workers are shareholders. Here, I mean, you work at GM, the CEO is making 350 times more the workers on the floor. I mean, you could go down the list. Walmart, we're literally paying for their workers government welfare so that the Walton family could be fabulously rich. And that's legal in America. and just the
And it
price of
didn't used to be,
capitalism.
Jordan, I'm going to tell the boomers the reason that you were able to join a union for some of you guys, and the reason that you were able to get stocks is because before Reagan, in order to get tax breaks, in order to get federal incentives, in order to trade on the stock market, at least 40 to 50% of the shares had to be owned by the workers. Glass-Steagall was repealed by Bill Clinton. And then those laws where shareholders had to be shared, if you were publicly traded, had to be shared with the worker, was completely repealed. So now shareholders can just be venture capitalists, and that's all we have. There's no connection to who owns the stock and who works for the company. And it didn't used to be that way before 1990. So that's why you have a pension. That's why you might have a 401k that now isn't even stretching far enough for you. But our generation, millennials, exennials, we didn't have that. That does not exist for us. Retirement does not exist. It's not a thing. Savings, we don't have that. Savings is not a thing. Being able to save for a down payment for a house, not a thing. It has been gutted in the last 30 years. Our economy is completely gutted. And some people are still comfortable enough to where they're not feeling it yet. But the rest of us, the other 60%, we live it every single day.
Absolutely. I want to play a couple more. Whatever you got next, Colin.
Step back there with everybody else.
Is it your press? Don't you got press over there?
No.
The guy with the live view?
You go back, you're going to get sprayed.
No.
I already told you once. If I tell you again, you're going to get sprayed. Go back with everybody else. You can record all you want. You see everyone?
Yeah, I see press over there.
You see everybody else over here, right?
No, I see press over there.
He's with us.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, they're taking out their weapons.
Got their weapons out. Does it appear anyone is injured from the vehicle accident?
Let's stand back there with everybody else.
Is it your press?
What's that? No.
Don't you got press over there?
No.
The guy with the live view?
You go back, you're going to get sprayed.
No.
I already told you once. If I tell you again, you're going to get sprayed. Go back with everybody else. You can record all you want. You see everyone?
Yeah, I see press over there.
You see everybody else over here, right?
No, I see press over there.
He's with us. Or he's with them. You're over here with everybody else.
Okay. Thank you for that. I was ready.
My name is Kyle Jackson.
Last name?
Matching beer on signal. Have them delete me from all the chat. Matching beer on signal. Delete me from the chat.
Anybody tell me what happened?
Well, they're just snapping some people. No, they won't tell us anything.
I mean, supposedly they were.
So what's significant about that, other than ICE is just casually threatening to pepper spray journalists for trying to legally cover their activities, which is they don't get to tell you where to go, as long as you're not like physically interfering with them, which we're not. So JT did this great report where he compared our coverage to NBC News's coverage from the same exact scene. Who they were referring to? Like, no, you can't come with us. You can't come over here. And John asked, well, why is that journalist allowed to? He's with us. Yeah, that he was like a major journalist for, and air quotes, journalist for NBC News. Gabe Gutierrez is his name, who basically did a joyride with ICE. He went along with ICE. You'd be drunk if you played the drinking game. How many times that report said, ICE says, which is basically like, we're NBC News. We have the resources to actually investigate whether what they're saying is true or not, but we don't want to because we're lazy or we want access. So we're just going to say ICE says, and that just covers us legally.
Stenographers. They're stenographers, not journalists.
Yes. And they also literally were showing the same exact scene we showed you a couple clips ago where ICE was just randomly pepper spraying people after running over someone. Their report did not mention that or show that they literally ran somebody over in the middle of the street. They're literally showing ICE pepper spraying residents and not even saying anything about it in their report. This is NBC News. That's how you know it's not just politicians who normalize fascism. Media normalizes fascism. You got to watch the video. It's a couple videos ago. JT compared
Very
our
good.
coverage.
He did a fantastic job.
Not gonna take credit, even though it was my idea. But whatever. I said, JT, you got to do a video on this. This is fucking propaganda. Because literally, it's the same exact scene. They covered the same stuff, the same incidents we covered, and it's just such mind-boggling stenography, propaganda. But they're showing this woman being pepper sprayed while narrating protesters were blocking federal agents' vehicles. And in the background, the fucking secret police are pepper spraying this poor woman. Can't say anything. And JT reached out to the reporter with, why did you leave this out? Why did you confirm anything that they told you? Because in their report, they also said we've arrested sexual, people who did sex crimes, people who did this, do that. I don't know if they did or not. My guess is
who are the names? Where's the record of this?
Exactly. It's all propaganda. So that's why it's important. It's not just important to show you this stuff. It's important because you have to counter the propaganda coming from the big boys, which are NBC News. All right. What else we got coming?
CBS News now, too, is an entirely propaganda machine. That's all it is now.
Barry Broadcasting Network.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, for me, a lot of people in my community, they're just scared to come out. Personally, I have a family member. He doesn't want to go to school. He's scared to go outside because of ICE here in our community. So fuck them. Let us live. We still live here. We'll see what you're doing one day. You're tearing families apart. That's right. Man, how can you sleep with yourself at night? Think about that. You have kids? What if they took them away from you? Think. Disgusting is the only word that can be described. I'm concerned, but man, whatever happens to me, but towards my family members, that's what I care about. That makes me angry. I can't, the thought about, a family member getting deported, they've been here for most of their lives. That's wrong. They don't have nothing to go back to. This is their home.
What would you say to the narrative that they're only going after criminals?
It's false. I personally know friends of friends. They've been getting deported. They don't do anything wrong. They're going after aunties and housekeepers. They come here to work. They don't do anything wrong.
I gotta order that shirt. If
His
I can
t-shirt
find it
was
somewhere.
amazing.
Although, guy's a little crazy. It was minus 5 degrees out, and that was which I love this kind of protest. They're finding where ICE agents are staying and protesting with noisemakers and sirens outside the hotel. Make them uncomfortable. They're not being violent, but why should they sleep well at night, these ICE thugs? So that was in a hotel, Adena, wherever that is in Minnesota. I think,
and I've seen some comments, let them do their job. Don't get in their way. If you protesting, you can protest peacefully in this area or that area that they designate for you. Let me tell you something. When Martin Luther King, when they organized the march from Selma to the march to DC, most of their route was not legalized. So when they crossed the Mattis Pettis Bridge, on the other side were National Guard waiting in what's called Sunday Bloody Sunday. Were waiting to bust heads because it was illegal to cross that bridge, and they did it anyway. Civil protest, civil disobedience, civil protest. They did it anyway, and that was the point. And then they marched all the way to DC, which took them weeks to do. And half of that route was not quote unquote permitted. They had obstacles every way. So this idea of just stand quietly in a corner, do exactly what ICE tells you, don't stand in their way, don't show up at where they're staying and cause noise. That's not how this works. That's not how protests work. And that's not what's ever worked.
By the way, this is also some of the same things you heard in Nazi Germany before they started sending them on trains. Just don't interrupt them. Let them go knock on doors. This is what the Germans said. No. By the way, let them do what work? Let them do their work. They're kidnapping. They're not showing up with warrants. And the warrants they do present are not judicial warrants. And people say, well, they don't need there's something called the Fourth Amendment in this country. Unless I'm not understanding it, you have to have warrants for certain things, and you can't illegally search and seize. And that's all this is. Hell, we covered, Colin, do we have the scene from the construction scene with the trying to freeze the workers to death?
And U.S. citizens in the vehicle.
Come right through there. Hold on. No fucking drugs. Fucking Nazis. Hold on. Fucking fascists. Fuck off. Get out of here.
He's the one who shot it? He's the one that has the autograph.
You just say you just got it right now. You just got his name right now?
We got criminal records and stuff. You admitted he's here illegally. I told him we can verify him. Why would he run if he's not here illegally? You know what I'm saying?
If you guys knew Jesus, you would not be doing this. You're going to have to stand before him at the throne on the final judgment day. This is not going to work out in your favor. I would leave now. This is
get a medical attention.
This is a major liability.
We got a medical attention.
This is a major liability. You guys need to stand before Jesus. This is not a good idea.
Come right through there. Hold on. No fucking drugs. Fucking Nazis. Hold on. Fucking fascists. Fuck off. Get out of here. Get out of here. You're not welcome here. Shut the fuck up. Back up. Now.
Shame of you, shame! No humanity, shame! 1992, it never happened this way in Somalia. Shame!
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 It shouldn't happen this way
Shame
in America
of you,
either.
shame! You don't want to give the blanket. No humanity. What are you gonna do? You make kids born and raised here afraid. Shame of you.
Se logró el objetivo y ahorita te van a dar atención médica profesional y vas a estar bien. Ánimo.
Okay, are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Pónganle la escalera a los muchachos acá arriba. Pues ya escucharon las primeras palabras del joven. Con mucho frío, amigos nuestros. En lo que cabe, está bien, pero no está bien. Sabemos que no está bien. Está en estado de shock. Y no puede caminar. Yo creo que hay que ayudar a cargarlo, por favor, señores.
And by the way, there's two workers that ICE was basically trying to freeze out on the roof and make them come down. One of them came down and was taken on a stretcher to the hospital. Don't know what happened to him. The other one, ICE refused to hand up blankets, hand warmers, anything to keep him warm. It was 2 degrees out, minus sub-zero with the wind chill. I mean, if you're out there,
John Farina got frostbite. That's how cold it was.
I called him. He said, I haven't going to the ER. I'm worried I'm going to lose my finger. It went from purple to black.
God, John.
John
is dedicated. I've seen John be dedicated since I've been following his work. But
I said to John, God bless John, but I said to John, he calls me. He's like, I can't feel my finger, but I'm going to go live. I'm like, why don't you not go live? Why don't you warm up your finger before you go live? He's like, gotta go. So I told him not to go live. Just saying. But
John is the kind of person that inspired me to get into journalism, and I'm not even exaggerating. He's the kind of person that inspired me to get into journalism.
He is a rough rider and a diehard, and we're lucky to have him. And he really, he's talented, but also behind the talent is passion. He really cares about these issues. He might say, I'm not a man of words, and he'd rather be behind the camera, but we would not be seeing most of this without him. So
he knows where to go and what to capture, and he knows. And you know what? I'm gonna say something. The people that showed up at this inspired me. The amount of community members that showed up to support these two men. On top of that, I was just thinking when I was watching this clip, Jordan, out of everything that Status Coup has captured over the last several months regarding ICE. I mean, because before that, John Farina was on the ground every day covering anti-genocide protests. We covered more than any other news outlet. What is like 160 that he covered?
Over 200.
Over 200. Over 200. That's wild. But since we've been covering ICE, one thing that I've noticed, even in LA, even in Tina's coverage, in every single city and every single thing that has been caught, what we have not seen is the crowd attacking ICE. What we have seen is ICE attacking the crowd in every single thing that we have covered. And this administration is acting like, oh, these people are attacking ICE. These people are getting in the way. They're doing this, that, and the other. We have only seen civil disobedience. We have not seen direct violence toward ICE. Not once.
Yep.
Not once in probably 400 hours of video.
And you're not going to. I mean, but eventually, if you keep doing this to the masses, I mean, I don't want to bring up Luigi, but at a certain point, people are going to fight back if you keep terrorizing them. And to be clear, it's equally as bad if it's against immigrants or U.S. citizens. They shouldn't be doing it to anyone, but they are doing this to more and more U.S. citizens.
Yeah.
Colin, do we have the clip from Chicago the other day?
With U.S. citizens in the vehicle. This is in front of Berwyn's Community Center, terrorizing our community.
U.S. citizens in this vehicle! I saw their passports, they pulled it from the car!
We have multiple ICE agents.
U.S. citizens!
We have ICE filming us from their cameras for their propaganda. 2 citizens with U.S. passports in front of the Berwyn Community Center, held by ICE.
Not the police! Not the state police! It's Border Patrol! I saw their passports!
What's your name? What's your name? They're here in full force, Greg Rubino.
I'm a fucking American!
Greg Rubino is here in front of Berwyn's Community Center, terrorizing us. There are children all around us. You have a silenced fucking weapon.
Call my mom, let her know to pick up my daughter. Yeah, please. They're gonna take me to Homeland Security. I'll be back though.
They have 2 U.S. citizens with passports in that vehicle, in a vehicle without any license plates. Someone please tell Alexi Julianis, tell the Secretary of State, Berwyn, Illinois, we have 2 U.S. citizens in a vehicle without a plate. There's no plate on that vehicle.
No plates.
Which is illegal in Chicago.
They can drive around with no plates, but we have to scrape up money just to keep our car insurance and get our cars tagged every year. But here ICE is running around with no plates, no way to track them, and no way to know that this is ICE when everyone's wearing, gear that you can order readily on Amazon.
And to be clear, I mean, let's not become numb to this. You have a U.S. citizen, a woman, telling whoever, her friend, call my mom, tell her to pick up my daughter.
That hit me too.
Like, you could just, under this administration, it's not okay whether it's undocumented or U.S. citizens either. I don't want to make it seem like it's any more, it's worse. But to be clear, we were told first, this is the worst of the worst. Then we were told, well, they're all illegal. They committed crimes. And now it's U.S. citizens. So you see how the goalpost keeps moving? And now Trump, I mean, they're openly talking about trying to denaturalize hundreds of Americans. a month,
including myself. People who are mixed race, potentially, whose parent was an immigrant from one of the countries they deem on the list. And Iran is one of those countries on the list. My dad was an Iranian immigrant. So, this is something that's on our mind. It's something that I was just speaking with my cousin about, because I have family members that one of them was born here. Another I have family members that have citizenship that are now terrified. Worried every day about taking their kids to school, about going to the grocery store, about, and I don't want to see undocumented citizens or undocumented migrants feel this way, let alone citizens. People that quote unquote did it the right way or were born here.
Well, don't worry, Zaina. If you just pay $1 million, you could get in, you get the Trump gold coin.
Oh, yeah. I just got to get rich real quick, guys. Sign up to my Substack. Hurry.
With that, I need to go take care of my 2 sick kitties, unfortunately. You're free to stick around and cover the last topic if you want, Zaina. If you don't,
I can cover it.
Yeah. So I'll leave it to Zaina, because the Democratic Party, it's not quite the same thing. Republicans don't want to release the Epstein files. Democrats don't want to release their 2024 autopsy. I wonder why. But again, we're going to stay on the ground as long as we can. JT is going to be live at 7:30 Eastern tonight from Broadview to cover that hearing because DHS, Kristi Noem, they are trying to expand the ICE prison in Broadview, Illinois, right outside of Chicago, where there have been protests for months and months and months. So please, we will be live in about an hour and a half. Please come back. And please, I beg of you, I am not beyond begging the workers. Please support us if you can. If you can't, totally understand. But if you can, for as low as $5 a month, it makes a huge difference. StatusCoup.com/join. Thank you, Zaina. Thank you, Colin. I'll see you guys later.
Thanks, Jordan. And I won't keep us too long because I know that Colin has things to do, and we're going to go live. We're going to go live again soon. But let's talk a little bit about the Democratic Party. So what we've been looking at is the Democrats still doing this strategy of, we need to move right on issues. If we just do trickle down economics, you have people like Alex Thompson and Ezra Klein out there beating the streets every day, talking and going on media, talking about how we need to move the Democratic Party. They need to move even further right in order to reach voters, which is absolutely not true. We just saw in this segment that the majority of people are concerned about inflation. That's the number one issue. So let's pull up what we got here. Colin, the first article, I think it's DNC is killing off its 2024 autopsy report from the last election. Let's see. Do you have that X post for me from Shane? I think it's Goldmacher. So it says here the DNC is killing off its 2024 autopsy. DNC chairman Ken Martin has decided not to publish a public report, believing that backward-looking documents would be counterproductive as their party has started winning. So things get so bad. They've allowed things to get so bad with this current administration. And yes, they are in part responsible for that and for losing the last presidential election, because they could have ran on economic issues. They could have fought back against Trumpism, but instead, Kamala Harris decided to run whitewashing Dick Cheney's record and saying we were going to have the most lethal military in American history, and saying that she would do immigration even more hardcore than Donald Trump. That's what she ran on. They normalized Trump's fascism, lost the race, and then now are saying they don't even want to look at the autopsy. You know why? Because the autopsy tells us what the autopsy actually says. If you look at polling, which we've shared here on Status Coup, if you look at the actual numbers, that people, one, want us to stop sending money to Israel. That's a huge one. upwards of 70 to 80%, and poll after poll after poll wants us to stop funding Israel. 2, economics is huge. Economics is one of the biggest. The poverty levels, growing poverty levels, housing insecurity, healthcare, all the things that the Democratic Party themselves refuse to actually bring any policies forward about. They refuse to tackle this. So they don't want to look back, and they're saying that the Republicans have gotten bad enough, which the Republicans are horrible right now. The Trump administration is inhumane and awful, but this is almost a celebratory lap, saying we don't even have to worry about the what the public thinks. We don't have to have an actual policy. We're going to win by default. Things are so bad right now that people are desperate enough to where they're going to vote for us no matter what we do. And that's not fighting back. People want solutions. That's feckless, and that hasn't worked so far. They've done this for the last 10 years. They've ran on, oh my God, Trump, for the last 10 years. And yeah, we should be concerned about Trump, but people want more. This is a failed strategy that they keep doing over and over and over again, even though it hasn't worked. That's what they did. That's what they did in the last presidential, or that's what they did in the 2022 elections. That's what they did in the 2020 elections. That's what they did in 2018. And it hasn't worked. And I am worried that it's not going to work again. It is for some seats. But if they don't give people actual policies, the problem is people are not going to show up at the polls. They need people to show up at the polls and actually vote. So let's pull up this second tweet from him, Colin. He said, "Here's our North Star. Does this help us win?" Mr. Martin said in a statement. "If the answer is no, it's a distraction from the core mission. Months plus 300 plus interviews in all 50 states, but no public document will be released." So the DNC spent money. The Democratic National Committee spent money. 300 interviews in all 50 states. Let's be for real. That doesn't mean anything. So, I don't even know what the report would say. That's not even statistically valid if they only did 300 interviews, but they're not going to release it. But I will tell you, and I didn't get this article over to Colin before we started, but there was a report that was put out by these organizations called Third Way and Welcome Pack. And Third Way and Welcome Pack are like Ezra Klein's birth child, and who else? Matt Iglesias. And what Third Way and Welcome Pack argued is that, we need to stop talking about healthcare. No one's interested in universal healthcare. That's a failed strategy, according to them. We have to go right on immigration at a point when ICE is terrorizing people in the streets. Their argument was that, the trickle-down model actually worked. Reaganomics was great. We need to resurrect Reaganomics and go back to 1986 Heritage Foundation policy. So that is the postmortem that the Democratic Party helped fund and billionaires helped fund in order to push for policy stances that are basically 2016 GOP policies. That's where they're going, you guys. Even though 60% of us don't even have any savings in the bank, even though the majority of us are barely keeping a roof over our head, they think they can, 1, win by default, and 2, move right, even though the right wing are fringe and are only about 20% of the country. It's very ignorant, and it's the same model that they've tried for decades and keeps failing, and this is not a time to fail. I'm not a Democrat or a Republican, but I have worked more than 100 elections. I have helped lead movements. And I will tell you that if they don't come out with a strong economic policy, it's not going to work for their party. Let's see. Let's pull up the New York Times article and we'll take a look at that. So the DNC is scrapping its report on what went wrong in 2024. Ken Martin, the Democratic National Committee chairman, ordered the autopsy months ago, but now said to believe that that its release would be counterproductive for the party. Let's not talk about what we did wrong, guys. That's counterproductive. The Democratic National Committee is killing its autopsy of the 2024 election. Ken Martin, the chairman of the DNC, said on Thursday that he had decided not to publish a report that he ordered months ago into what went wrong for the Democratic Party last year. Party officials have conducted more than 300 interviews with Democrats in all 50 states. Woo! 300 interviews. To create a document that Mr. Martin had once pitched as crucial to charting a path forward. Mr. Martin will keep the findings under seal. He believes, can you scroll down just a little bit for me? Thank you. He believes that looking back so publicly and painfully at the past would prove counterproductive for the party as it tries next year to take back power in Congress, according to a DNC spokeswoman who spoke on the condition of anonymity to share the thinking behind this decision. Here's our North Star. Does it help us win? Mr. Martin said in a statement. If the answer is no, it's a distraction from the core mission. Many Democrats want to move on from 2024 and keep the focus on President Trump. They began this year demoralized, but now feel emboldened after the party's series of victories in November and strong showing in special election this year. Still, even if it's good politics to stuff the report into a filing cabinet, Democrats may be avoiding self-examination and a chance for introspection. It's reflective of a broader problem within the party, which is we are scared of ever making anybody in our coalition upset, said Simon Bazilian, a Democratic researcher who has led author of a different autopsy calling Deciding to Win. That was released by Welcome Pack, a centrist group. I understand the incentives involved here, but it also limits us in a lot of ways because it means we can't address difficult questions head on. Others cheered the shelving of a document that was likely to divide the party's coalition. It says haven't we rehashed 2024 enough, said Daniel Wessel, a former communication advisor for the DNC. We just won a bunch of elections this year. There is a lot of good to be learned there. The party's brand still appeals deeply damaged to the eyes of many voters. A national poll from Quinnipiac University this week found only 18% of voters approved of how Democrats in Congress were doing their jobs, a record low. Since the day of his election in February, Mr. Martin has promised an audit of 2024's mistakes and a roadmap for the future. He was adamant that it not be called an autopsy because he said the party was not dead. He preferred the more anodyne label, after action review. All right, I think we can close out there. What I'll say to that is if you don't look back, you can't look forward. And I did an analysis, and Stephen Semler, for instance, who is a journalist who does great postmortems on elections. And that's what we call him. That's what everyone calls him, is a postmortem, who's done great postmortems on election. And his postmortem on 2024 Stephen Semler's postmortem showed that one of the main issues that was a linchpin in the last election, one, the economy and gaslighting, that the economy was wonderful and fantastic under Joe Biden, did not appeal to people. Number two was the genocide in Gaza, Israel's war crimes, not holding them accountable, the U.S. funding that. And the third was healthcare. All three of those were not properly addressed during Kamala Harris's run. So if they're not going to look back, I understand forward looking, but if they're not willing to look back, that's problematic. And if what they're going to go by is Welcome Pack summation, that trickle down economics is where we need to go and that we need to move further right, they have this ignorant idea of some mythological right-wing centrist that they're going to pull over to the Republican Party, when the truth is the majority of the country supports economic leftist populism, period. They support universal health care. They support student loan forgiveness. They support housing, opening up housing to the affordable housing. They want good paying jobs. They want universal child care. These are things that we used to have. some semblance of after Lyndon B. Johnson and after the New Deal, for instance, even before him, that have now been gutted along the way more and more and more. So the FDR's policies under the New Deal are completely gutted. The middle class is gone. If they're not going to talk about that and they're just going to run on Trump is bad, I don't know what's going to happen in 2026. They're probably going to win some races, but are they going to change the trajectory in this country if they're not even running on platforms to do so? And how are they exactly? For One Love in the comments said, learn from past mistakes. If you don't learn from past mistakes, you don't move forward. That's one of the reasons I'm writing my book. If I aided 100 U.S. federal races for multiple election cycles, there's something to learn from there, even if we didn't always win. You have to look back to look forward. Do we have any super chats after we're done talking about DNC clownery here? All right. Let's see. That says Lori Yates. Thank you so much for becoming a YouTube member and welcome to the Status community. And also a $5 super chat. Thank you for all you do. Thank you so much for your support, Lori. We really appreciate it. Emily Sigmund. Thank you, Emily, for the 10 Status Coup News memberships gifted. Thank you so much. Aw, thank you so much, Emily. Emily with another $2 super chat. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you as well. Happy holidays. And for any of you guys celebrating, same for all of you. Lori also said, we the people. That's what it's going to take. And that's a lot of what, if you go back and I would suggest watching some of our latest coverage of these ICE protests. And one of the things that gives me hope is the amount of people that are showing up in their own neighborhoods to protect their own community members. It really is inspiring, and more of it's needed. Stormy Blackheart. That's a great name. Stormy Blackheart became a YouTube member. Welcome, Stormy. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your support. All right. Is that all?
Yep, that's all of them.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Colin, and everyone. A shout out to Colin, and also a happy holidays to Colin as well. And I guess we will see you guys at 7 p.m. JT will be live in Chicago at an ICE facility where at one of the ICE concentration camps where they will be protesting and protesting an expansion there. So please check that out at 7 p.m. And thank you to all of you guys who joined.